already have the representatives of NFC, TUC, SSF. If we have official representative from ASU, please you can join us here. I also like to, for now, recognize Comrade Rufus Olusegun, President of Aremson. You are welcome. Comrade Bello Ismail is already seated, Deputy General Secretary. Thank you very much. Well, let me just state that the purpose of our gathering is well known to us. This happened suddenly. The burial of Comrade Aremson was originally to take place a day after he was knocked down by a hit-and-run driver. Investigation, and that is being handled. But then we felt that we can't just bury our comrade like that. We need to have some opportunity to pay tribute to his memory, to recommit ourselves to his work, and that is the essence of this gathering. And I'm sure that by the time this testimony starts, to become clear that hardly would there be anyone in this room that had not met, interacted with, or participated in struggle with Comrade Aremson. For me, I can only limit myself for now to the fact that it was one of the struggle against commercialization of education in the mid-1980s. The struggle that started with the launch of the non-charter of demands, and the struggle that continued until 1984 when we had nationwide boycott of classes at Kwara Poly, one of the foot soldiers, and thereafter he became the president 1985-86 of the Students' Union, and was one of the active leaders of the nationwide struggles that subsequently broke out under the presidency of Imam Iziazu as announced president. We admire him for such consistency and for such a role. Having said that, we had a burial committee chaired by Comrade Falana. We've also had the program committee co-chaired by myself and the chair of NFC Lagos State, Comrade Chelsea, who is not seated because she's obviously busy putting all this together. So having said that, as we go along with the tributes, we'll be recognizing various comrades, commanders, field marshals, and so on and so forth. We already mentioned a few of them who are already seated. But let me now hand over the microphone to chair of this occasion, Comrade Falana, Civil Advocate of Nigeria, to do the formal opening remark. Thank you. Please appreciate it.
Comrades and friends, you are all welcome to this memorable occasion. First of all, I would like to thank the members of the family of Fallen Bureau for agreeing with the suggestion that the burial be shifted to the 23rd of October. It was supposed to have been within 24 hours after the unfortunate incident. Otherwise, we would not have the burial, raise fund, and mobilize our people to give our colleague a befitting burial. Secondly, we also want to thank all our comrades and friends for contributing to the fund that was immediately set up upon hearing the tragic news that our comrade had passed on. As Comrade has just said, each and every one of us who had contact with Comrade Aremson during his lifetime. Commitment to the struggle for the socialist transformation of our country. As I did say, my own tribute, for him like Mandela, the struggle was his life. And dedicated his entire life to the struggle. First met him when he came all the way from Ilorin. Very young man, a very young man. Both of us were also very young at material time. I had just was serving my youth service in Ibadan, handling a case for some US students who only took part in the protest, but charged with rape, attempted murder of their vice chancellor, and so on and so forth, just to keep them in detention. We were able to win the case. But when the case was going on in court, somebody came all the way from Ilorin, and after the case, he moved closer to me. He said, I'm Biono Aremson. I said, yes, from where? Thought, are you one of the US students? He said, no. I'm from Ilorin all the way. That level of solidarity with students he had never met before created a lasting impression on me throughout our time. And so we then, as usual, we had to meet, and throughout his life, we kept that relationship. His last challenge to me, and this was 3 days before his death, he called me. Of course, you all know the state he was. He suffered stroke, but he did not allow stroke to dampen his spirit or demobilize him. Yeah, Comrade, how are you coping? He said, Comrade, I'm calling you because of Tengasina, Nupen. And he warned, and this is a message for all of us. Comrade, if we allowed those two unions to go down, if that protest succeeds in deunionizing them, that may be the end of trade unionism in Nigeria. I assured him that while Comrade Femi Aborojade and I were waging the struggle in the court and were convinced we will win, but at the political end of the struggle, which is more than the political, will also have to be pursued. And he said, Comrade, if we get to the state that we have to go to the street, you can be sure you can always count on me. I said, I know that in spite of your physical limitation, unfortunately, 3 days later, I got a call that Comrade was fell down by a hit and run driver. Of course, like all of us. So what happened then? He said, he had died. The shock took days to recover from the shock. The irony for me that here is a guy, here is a human being fighting for a good society, fighting for a just society, so that everybody will have access to Medicare, good education, and all the good things of life. Such a man whose suffer stroke because of the crisis in the society are to be killed by a hit and run driver. Whichever way you look at the facts and circumstances surrounding the unfortunate death of our comrade, you can hold the Nigerian state responsible because of the way the police system in our country is organized. If anybody falls, if anybody is hit by a vehicle, and you attempt to take the person to the hospital, for here, the first thing is, where is the police report? It got to a stage that people in Nigeria decided to take the law into their hands, believing you could not get justice under the system. So if anybody is hit, instead of the driver stopping to lend a helping hand, he will run. For the fear that if he stops, the society will not go for the person on the ground, but will go for the driver, kill him and possibly burn the vehicle. These are the contradictions we have run into in this society. We're just telling Fumi Kumalafe just now that about 30 years ago I was driving to the University of Lagos to meet an appointment, and a 5-year-old girl who knew whether there was a vehicle just jumped on the road, and the car hit her. Had to stop to take her to the nearest hospital, and we sit down. Nobody thought in their wildest imagination that I should be attacked. But our society has been turned upside down by a ruling class that has contempt for the lives and the rights of our people. Where our comrade was killed, this vehicle, small bus, call it Korokwe or whatever, had only one light. So everybody thought it was a motorcycle that was coming. It was too late, and knowing the state of the health of our comrade, he couldn't have run. Hence, he was hit, and he fell down on his head. And you know, again, because the society is already ruined. Everybody was saying, before some people in the neighborhood recognized it. It was after 7 p.m. By the time he was taken to the hospital, an ill-equipped hospital, he was only confirmed dead. So these are lessons for all of us. Until we wrote a petition to the police, to the commissioner, and to assign to the DPO. The police never thought it was their duty to go there. He said, since nobody came, he said, beg your pardon. A human being died, was felled by a vehicle in your neighborhood, and you think a report has to be lodged before you go. Initiate investigation. So, the police have started investigation. Collected some information around the neighborhood, and we are almost sure that we'll get to know, because it's very important to identify and arrest this guy so that we can know his motive. Because Comrade Aremson was well known in the neighborhood, so that was why many of our comrades have raised suspicion around the circumstances of death of our comrade. All of us are going to pay the debt of death at one time or the other. But when we are gathered like this to celebrate the dead, we are challenging ourselves number one in a case like this, to resolve to ensure that such avoidable deaths is combated in our society. More importantly, we are gathered here to celebrate the life and time of our comrade. That is the greater challenge to all of us. To live our lives and make it a life of dignity by contributing to the progress of our society. If you have read the tributes in the WhatsApp groups, you will wonder whether this man died at an old age. You will wonder how many Nigerians could receive such positive tributes when they are gone. And so, it is not your wealth. Comrade had no wealth. He chose to struggle for a better society that all Nigerians can have prosperity. He denied himself of the opportunities to make money so that other Nigerians can live a life of dignity. That is why he's been admired even by enemies. You know, state governments want to be counted. I'm sure you have read some of the tributes of those who wanted him dead earlier. But that is the mark of greatness of our comrade. That even the enemies will have to recognize that this man lived a life of sacrifice and that he was a great man. His memory will live with us for long. There's nobody in Lagos here who has taken part in any of our struggles, in any of our street protests, that would not have marched with Comrade Abiodun. For that reason, the organizers of the program have already challenged us. And for me, if you have this pamphlet, we have been challenged that the greatest tribute we can pay to our comrades is to continue the struggle that he was forced to abandon. And this year we can build a mass movement that will lead to the construction of a social. Thank you very much.